Ladies and gentlemen, we are back at it, traveling and trading around the world, coming to you from Cusco, Peru. Absolutely beautiful. We are going to jump into the charts right here, look at some trade reviews, day in the life of a traveling trader, talk about trading, and then we are going to go to Machu Picchu, one of my lifelong dreams that I've wanted to go to forever. And ever since I started trading and traveling, this has been on my bucket list. So we are going to go check out that, talk about the history of the Incas, and talk about trading. This is so exciting. One of the best videos coming to you. So I appreciate if you guys like this video, subscribe, and let's get into the charts. And then we'll get into the trading part. Let's go. Okay, let's get into it. We have 2 to 3 different trade reviews that we need to talk about. We also are going to look at Etienne Kret, one of my good trading friends, that he had an interesting point to make in trading, talking about reward to risk, and I wanted to share that with you. We're also going to be looking at one top-down analysis trade idea. And yeah, that's everything. So let's get into it. I appreciate if you guys like this video right now, subscribe. If you guys ever have any questions, you guys can always reach out to me on social media at MoneyballAustin. But till then, I appreciate if you guys liked the video as it helps me grow this channel. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so first trade review we are going to be looking at is the NASDAQ 100. Let me take a picture of this. Okay, I already got it right here. Now, what I was trying to do is this is the 1 minute time frame. This can be used on every different time frame sequence out there. So this is just the 1 minute time frame. And I bought at this demand zone from down in here, the bottom half of it. Now, why do I like this demand zone? I see a lot of when people reach out to me on social media and they send me their trade reviews, I'm like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. And so you'll notice all my trades, all my levels have these certain characteristics every single trade. Number one, 2 to 1 imbalance. Okay, that's going to let me know that there's a strong imbalance between buyers or sellers, and a lot of buyers came into the market. So we have this big black candlestick moving to the upside. That indicates to me a lot of buyers stepped into the market. Number two, we broke downward trend line. So you can see here how we were ranging lower, lower lows, lower highs. We broke that downward trend line here and we removed all these opposing supply zones. Those would be my top 3 things that every zone, we're going to go BML. Those are the top 3 things that all my zones will most likely will have on my entry time frame. Okay, every single time. And then I simply bought the demand zone when prices came back down here and got out at a nice 2 to 1. Okay, same top down analysis every single time. Okay, let's look at one more trade. And this was on my watch list, I think. Gold. Okay, yeah, so yeah, we're looking at a 15-minute short in oil. And then there was also a gold trade that I like that I also shorted at 2. So we're going to quickly look at those. I haven't documented the trade reviews yet. So I'm just going to go off the cuff. And we're going to look at XAU USD first. So if you recall from a couple weeks ago, there is actually a 4-hour demand zone that we talked about, saying why I like this area of demand right here on the 4-hour time frame. I think it's totally okay for people to be buying that 4-hour demand zone. I was personally waiting for lower time frame confirmation when price came back down into it, looking for buying opportunities. But here was a bullish pendant flag pattern. So that was kind of the bullish pendant. Big strong move to the upside, removes supply, 2 to 1 imbalance. So I get why people would be buying that zone right there straight up. Personally, it's not part of my trading plan. So hey, that worked out quite well. That's just an update from you guys from a couple weeks ago. We actually have new nice little 4-hour zones that we can now use as our 4-hour time frames, and that's going to remain as our 4-hour supply zone or demand zone down there. Gold's one of my best trading assets, same with oil for the last 2 years. So I'm not surprised that I won both these trades. And so we went down to the 15-minute, and this was the entry target of my zone. I still haven't documented my trade, but that was my rally-based drop supply zone that I got short at. And now my stop loss, there was 2 stop losses we talked about. The conservative one would be up here above the whole pivot point of the 4-hour supply. And then the other one was right in this general area right here above this supply zone. So it's good to see that both of them held up, ended up being a winning trade. But you'll notice once again, 2 to 1 imbalance here, just very strong move to the downside, breaking upward trend lines and removing opposing zones. So one of the actual main things I wanted to talk to you guys about is US 30, as this was the other trade, I think it was. Let me scroll down. US 30, yeah, so pulling back into demand. Here was the top down analysis. I like it. This was more of just a buy straight up off of the demand zone. We go to the 30-minute time frame. And actually, before I break down into the top down analysis, Etienne made a good point on this, and it made me chuckle. And he says, I had to get something off my chest. This is actually a guy that I did my first trading interview with in Da Nang, Vietnam. He goes on to make an interesting point here called the insurance model of trading. All right. I found it pretty funny. But he's got a point, but I want to break it down for you guys. He says, I got to get something off my chest. I can't stand listening to other trading educators say you need to have at least a 2-to-1 reward to risk to be a profitable trader. If you ask me and the most successful traders I interview, I would say the same. That is a bunch of fluff. Okay, this guy is known to interview some of the best traders in the world. And so he definitely has a lot of good points to make when it comes to the trading career, as he surrounds himself around a lot of like-minded, profitable day traders. He makes a good trading interview podcast that I recommend you guys checking out. Send him a message. I'd appreciate that. You guys send him a message saying, hey, Moneyball Austin sent me. He loves you. He goes on to say, I know a handful of traders making long-term consistent profits with a 0.5 to 1 reward to risk or a smaller take profit. And we call this the insurance model. And when I actually read that, I started laughing because I instantly started thinking like, okay, in my opinion, insurance is like a scam because you're kind of betting on something bad is going to go wrong in your life. But then it just reminded me of like Chinese people. It's not racist, but it's just this is one of the most famous videos out there of like a Chinaman getting hit by a car and trying to claim the insurance money that they would get. And it's just funny. I mean, purposely walks into the car and fakes an injury, right? Trying to collect that insurance money. And obviously, a lot of these insurance companies are making money from taking a large amount of people hoping that they don't get injured. But if somebody does get injured, they have to pay out a big settlement. But they're making money off of small, consistent gains. Now, I've met a lot of people that are in the insurance business, and they don't have too many good things to say about the insurance model. But we're going to circle this back into trading. And so he goes on to say, like insurance companies, they collect small profits on and on. Occasionally, they have that big expense, a loss, and they have to give it back. But if they collect enough of these small profits, they can cover their bigger losers and have a big trading paycheck to take home. Okay, that's a very good point to make. Okay, and he's saying you can have this is why a lot of people you'll see on social media having 99% win rates. I think that's a big scam and a red flag in my opinion. The way that I would approach this conversation is it's okay to have a 0.5 to 1 reward to risk. Now, ideally, it is better to have, obviously, it is nicer to have 1 to 1 or 1.5 or 2 to 1. But if you are going to ask for less from the market, you are going to have a larger win loss percentage. So if we go over here, you look at over this risk to reward. If you want to go right here 1 to 1, in order to be a break even trader, you have to win 50% of your trades. Now, if you want to win 2 to 1, as in you want to make $100, or say, let's just say 200, you want to make $200 and risk 100. Well, in order to be a break even trader, you need to be 33%. But what Etienne is saying, 0.5 to 1 is say you're risking $100 to make $50. You have to be right only 67% of the time. You need prices less to go in your favor in order to make money. And so I liked it because we were going down to like just the 1 hour time frame and just the general price action, very long term. We've been very bullish this over the last like 2 weeks. Higher highs and higher lows. I have a very good feel for this trading methodology about how prices will react off of certain levels and how far prices will go before it reverses. And so that's why I really liked just buying this zone straight up back into here. This is where I entered the trade here. Okay. Why? Okay. Overall, higher highs, higher lows. We have correction, imbalance, correction, imbalance. Now we just made a correction. So now I'm thinking, okay, this is a time that that next impulse wave to the upside might happen. Okay. We're also buying inside demand. We're also above the 200 moving average. And so I had my stop loss, quite a wide stop loss all the way down here. And normally you won't see prices just drop all the way down here. Like that's a lot of money coming into the market without any some type of retrace in the market. Sure, I could see that if Fed rates came out or some crazy news event, not unfortunately, but during that time there was no other news coming out, so that's why I felt very comfortable, and I felt like this was a very high probability trade. And I got out at just a 0.5 to 1, and this is where I would see the opposing supply coming in, was this little area of supply. And so that worked out, right? So there's many different ways of trading. Just be careful with that type of trading, as you're going more of an instinct. And if you do lose 3, 4 trades in a row, well, then you got a heck of a hole to climb out of. You know what I mean? Oh, and by the way, if you guys would like to learn more about how I'm trading this trading methodology, just head over to my YouTube, click playlist. I have a full top-down playlist breaking down this trading strategy. Go to tips, and you can get my course videos completely for free. Part 1, 2, 3, hour-and-a-half long video breaking down the whole methodology, talking about trading plans, talking about trading like a casino, as well as take the 30-day trading challenge. So that's going to end the trading segment. I really appreciate if you guys like this video so far. Subscribe to the channel, and if you guys have any questions, you guys can always reach out to me on social media at Moneyball Austin. Let's get into the apartment tour of where I'm at, and let's continue the journey to Machu Picchu. All right, thank you guys. Let's go. Okay, room tour time. Here it is. This is the work setup right here. I just have the computer in the room. It's a nice desk, nice chair. I have a heater right here to keep me warm because Cusco is really cold. Here is the outside of what I look onto. This is Peru. That is the stadium I go to go watch my football games. I've seen a couple here in the city. And let's continue this room tour here. Absolutely beautiful place. We got the bedroom right here. Okay, we come over here to the bathroom. Nice little toilet. Shower. It's nice to have hot water finally, must say. The old place I was at, I'll show you guys an overlap of the video that I was at living in Cusco for about 8 weeks. Didn't have hot water. And how much was I paying for that place? I was paying $500, but it was really nice. It was right downtown in the historical center. That was $500 a month. And now this place I'm paying, how much am I paying? $700 would be a month, I believe, USD. So this is the kitchen, and that is kind of the TV. We got BNN going on. Everybody can watch that for free on YouTube. If you just go to BNN, it's always like a 24-hour service live covering the markets. So I like to stick that on in the morning. And we go over here. Guys, I got to show you guys this because these are coca leaves. This is what they make cocaine with. I mean, this is, I guess I shouldn't be saying it because it might downgrade this video. But hey, this is what they use to make cocaine. These are the coca leaves. It is legal in 2 countries, Bolivia and in Peru. So it's a really nice thing to have with tea. I'm sure they have like 100 pounds. They lay it out and then they put like the gasoline or the chemicals all in it. And then it extracts the straight cocaine. You know what I mean? But it's a popular thing is to, let me flip this camera around and show you. Okay, so you grab some coca leaves. It's popular for like tea because we are in high altitude. It's 13,000 square feet here in Cusco above sea level. So you get, for the first 5 days, I had like a pounding headache. So it was annoying. So I always just kind of had these coca leaves. I still have them because they're just like really good. It's just leaves, but you can kind of just stick them in your mouth and it makes your mouth numb. But people will also use them as like an alternative to having a coffee in the morning. And so you can just grab, 8, 10 leaves. Some people will take the stems out. But just for this video demonstration, I'll kind of show you guys quickly. So normally you would get, like 12 leaves or something like that. You kind of bundle them up. I'm using one hand holding the phone, so it's difficult. And you just kind of, speed it up. Kind of stick it to one side of your mouth. It should clear up any headache, help with the altitude sickness, but it also numbs your mouth a little bit, kind of like if you go to the dentist. Very slightly numbs your mouth, but it tastes like just like if you just grab random leaves, put them in your mouth, that's most likely what it tastes like. But yeah, I like to have it sometimes in the morning when I'm trading, just like to stick it in my mouth. That sounds really gay. That sounds really gay. Anyways, let's continue. You guys know what I mean. Let me flip this camera around back over. Okay, so let me continue the room tour. Oh guys, I gotta show you guys, this is really cool. So obviously Inca Cola, we all know that. That is like the Coca-Cola here in Peru. It's made with like sugar cane and stuff like that. It's the most popular drink when it comes to like sodas. Phew. Got little stems, so that's why you pick off the stems. Pilsen, my favorite beer. You guys ever come here? That's my favorite beer. And what I like about this, I don't like this beer. It's a wheat beer, wheat ale, but I like their kind of marketing behind it. And the grip that they have for the bottle, it's very popular that you will see in the Inca history, is that's how they would make their homes, and the outside would be bricks, not bricks, but be stonework, and it would line up perfectly, kind of like that, it intertwined with one another. I was in Sexy Woman, Inca ruins here in Cusco. It's where they had the final battle of the Incas before they ran off. In fact, when we go to Cusco, I'm going to share with you the whole history of the Incas. And that is, I'll show you guys an overlay picture or a video of that. That is where the final battle happened. So keep that in mind. And I don't know, it's just cool marketing. And you know, these are like one of the most famous stones. It's a 12-point stone. I'll show you guys an image of that. And it's like one of the famous marks here in Cusco. But I thought that was pretty cool. I had to show you guys that. So what else? I mean, I've been here for like the last 90 days. It's time to get out of here. Also had some guinea pig. I know some people like to have guinea pig. It's a popular thing here in Peru. So I had a friend take me to the guinea pig place that he recommends. Absolutely amazing. I'll show you guys a little video of that. It kind of tasted like chicken, but I know people would have that growing up in North America as like a guinea pig pet, you know, going through elementary school or something like that. And then over the weekends, you would take it home. So I don't know, I've always wanted to try it since it's like one of the national dishes here for like celebratory events. So that's what I had. So I've been here in Peru for the last like 90 days or something like that. Lima, I showed you guys that one video where I went sandboarding. That will be in the link below in the description if you guys want to check that out. It's a great little traveling and trading video. I didn't really like the city of Lima. So Cusco, amazing. The plaza downtown in the historical center, absolutely beautiful, great food. Man, I just had such a good time in Cusco, man. It's such a good place. Anyways, we are gonna head to Machu Picchu. It's a heck of a journey to get there, so I am going to take you through that. Let's get on to it. All right, let's go. Hey, I appreciate if you guys are enjoying this, like the video right now. I very much appreciate it, and I will see you in Machu Picchu. Now, in order to get to Machu Picchu, you have to take an hour-and-a-half train ride to get to the city called Agua Caliente. That is the base camp of Machu Picchu. And I must say, this is absolutely beautiful. I strongly recommend people paying the extra 50 bucks and getting the first class. Luckily, I had some lovely couple sit next to me that were doing the Inca Trail, and we shared a couple bottles of champagne and our free snacks. All right, it is the next day. I am leaving Agua Caliente, the name of the city. I gotta be careful. I'm on a one-way street right now, and buses are coming through. We got rocks that just fall down. There is the city that I'm leaving. My gosh, this is beautiful. It's like I'm in a jungle paradise with a nice roaring river next to me as I hike the last 2 hours up to Machu Picchu. It's a popular thing for people to do the Inca Trail for 5 days. I met a lot of people that have done it. They strongly recommend it. But you know what? I have decided to do the last hike just up to Machu Picchu. It takes 2 hours to hike it. I got a couple of beers, a couple of refreshments to keep me hydrated on the way up there. I've always wanted to do this for years and years. Today is the day, April 4th, 2023. Smile across my face. Let's go. Now, I did spend one night. I arrived here yesterday. I wanted to spend one day in the city, check out the place. It's absolutely beautiful. My gosh, they have their own soccer field that a lot of kids like to go play pickup football during the nighttime. Man, what a beautiful city. I'm really happy I spent one night there. I think 50% of the people spend one night, 50% just do a day trip and go up there to Machu Picchu and go back to Cusco or wherever they're going. And then 50% of the people end up staying one night, which is what I did. And personally, it's what I recommend. It's nice to see the city. It's a beautiful little city. Or you can do a day trip. One thing that I did want to check out, I saw the reviews on the hot springs that they have, and the reviews were all like 1 star, 2 star, saying it looks so dirty. You read the reviews and it's like, if you want every type of skin disease out there, go to this pool, because the pool water from the hot springs is like straight brown. And so a couple of the reviews were pretty funny, so I had to go check it out just to see what it's all about. And I must say, yeah, it does look pretty greasy. Beautiful walk up there. It's about a 15-minute walk to get to the hot springs. Hands down, the best hot springs I ever went to was in La Fortuna, Costa Rica. I don't think I'll ever peak that. I mean, I'll show you guys a video clip of what that looked like. Going down the river, people just sitting there. It's covered by the jungle. You can sit there and drink beer. Had an absolutely amazing time. That was in La Fortuna, Costa Rica. Oh my gosh, this view is beautiful. Oh yeah, definitely hike this, guys. This is all downhill. I gotta go uphill still, but I'm having an amazing time right now. Enjoying my hike to Machu Picchu with a couple beers. Let's go. Okay, we are here. We gotta go. Instead of doing the zigzag, they have a path that goes directly up. Oh my God, look at the waterfall. And that is the journey we are going on. So I hope so. Let's go. We're on to an adventure, my friends. Now, definitely one thing I forgot to mention. A lot of people will say it's a monopoly, a scam to go up to Machu Picchu. Now, obviously, I think everybody should go. It's a beautiful site, one of the 7 wonders of the world. So yeah, 100% go. But people will say it's a monopoly that they have on the train system and the tickets to go up there, because the ticket for Machu Picchu is like $75 just to get in, and people just want to take the photo. But then to take the bus and the train up here, there and back, that's going to cost you $150 to $200. And so all in, if you decide to stay a night here at Agua Caliente, at the cheapest it's going to be $250 on the cheapest, but everybody's going to be spending $300 to $400 American. But heck, I'll pay it. I'm paying it with a smile on my face, baby. All right. Woo. Oh, my feet are absolutely soaked. Oh well, good thing I got my alpaca socks on. All right, continue the journey up. And as we get up there, share a little bit about the Inca history as well. The Inca Empire, from years 1400 stretching to 1450, mainly 100 years, was the rise and fall of the Inca Empire. Over 10 million Incas lived and conquered this region, rising up from over Ecuador, Colombia, down into Peru, Chile, and parts of Argentina and Bolivia. A vast empire that stretched very quickly, but just as quickly, they fell. Really cool empire to study, and the ruins in general, all over Peru. I got a list full of notes, a second page as well, talking about the fall and the collapse of the Inca Empire. So let's continue, shall we? Keep in mind, this is a empire that had no wheels for transportation, no written language, and no exchange for money. They used something called cupo, knots. I'll show you guys an image on the screen of what that looked like. And that's how they communicated a lot of their language about the climate, how much storage they had in their warehouses, about how much food, how much armor, taxes, what was on the agenda of what we need to do. So they used knots to communicate throughout the empire that would be passed along, and they would have runners that would run 22 kilometers, because each warehouse where they would store the food and the armor, they would have warehouses every 22 kilometers, and they would have runners that would run 22 kilometers, pass it to the next person, and to the next person, run 20 kilometers, pass it to the next person. And that's how they were able to communicate the message so quickly about raids, about war, about what was going on in their civilization. And they can move up to 300 kilometers in a single day. With no horses, they couldn't ride alpacas like the Spanish did. With no steel or iron either. Peru is definitely well known for their abundance of gold and silver and bronze, copper. This country produces one of the most amount of gold and silver year over year. I think it's one of the top 3 countries out there, and they still produce today. While the empire in general was very long, the width only stretched across to the Andes, and that's where it stopped. But with the difference in elevation, I mean, Cusco, where I've been living at for the last 3 months, has an elevation of 13,000 feet. It's hard to breathe. Like, even as I'm walking up here, it's actually 9,000 feet at Machu Picchu. So it is lower than I'm used to, which is nice. But when you're up there in Cusco, you walk up 20 steps, you're huffing and puffing. But they had an abundance of food, the ability to grow, because they stretched from north to Colombia, where they'd have a completely different climate, down to the desert of like Chile and Argentina. And they range from sea level up to 13,000 feet. So that gave them the ability to grow every different kind of food out there, as well as animals like to live at different levels as well. So that was one of the big advantages of the Inca Empire, was their difference in elevation and their climate. Really interesting stuff, eh? With no money in the system of the Inca Empire, how did they collect? Oh, we gotta go this way. We're on the road of where the buses go, and you just kind of follow these green arrows and make your way up. I love the system that they got here. Inca is very well known for how they would have their water treatment system. But how did they collect taxes? A empire, civilization with no money. Well, they used human labor. The men would go off and fight in the wars, be deployed on missions for 6 months, and then go off and go back and maybe be a farmer for 3 months, help out with the labor in the farming market. Or maybe if you're a girl, you would knit and make clothings for the army. Maybe you plucked or took care of the food at the warehouses. But that's how they collect taxes. I mean, it sounds like a 24-hour tax to me, as you had your job and you were moved around depending on what your skills are. Maybe you were a blacksmith. I don't know. But you were constantly moved around depending on how good at you were certain things. And that's how they collected taxes. And if you needed anything, you would just go to the warehouses that are located every 20 kilometers and collect what you need. Freeze-dried potatoes, meat, anything. And it's actually how armies were able to move vast distances within such a short period of time, was because they had warehouses, so they didn't have to wear anything until they get to the next warehouse. And if that's where they were going to go to war, that's where they would pick up their stuff, at the warehouse for the army. But they definitely relied a lot on those warehouses. And if you needed stuff, you just go to the warehouse and take it. And so government controlled everything. Sounds like a good system, but as we're about to find out when we get to the top of Machu Picchu, we're going to talk about the collapse of the empire. So quickly it grew, yet so quickly it fell from the Spanish. Those Spanish, they ravaged through the world and killed millions, but we're going to talk about that in a second. Actually, I'm starting to see some terraces of where the Incas would actually do their farming at. And really cool stuff. They would have a stone wall, because only 2% of the land was actually able to grow food. So what they would do is they would put, I'll show you an image, a stone wall, and then they would line it with rocks, sand, and then soil. And that would help them be able to grow things, a lot of food on the mountaintops. And so that's why you would see, you can't even really see it, I can see it, but right up here, you're gonna see it all over Machu Picchu. But that would be their farming and their irrigation system of how they would get water through. It would be self-sufficient. Anyways, when we get to the top of Machu Picchu, we are going to talk about how the empire collapsed from the Spanish. Let's continue this journey. Ladies and gentlemen, Machu Picchu. Oh my gosh. Oh, beautiful. Wow. Beautiful. Totally worth it. Let's go. I'm so pumped. What a view, ladies and gentlemen, eh? Machu Picchu in the back. River in the background as well. Now we continue our journey as we explore Machu Picchu and the collapse of the Inca Empire from the Spanish. Just looking at it, you can feel the energy. Oh yeah, feel the energy, baby. The vibration of the Incas. Now, the Spanish, when they came here, they really didn't have to do much work to conquer the place. They arrived here in 1530 with 150 people. His name was, I forget his first name, but we call him Mr. Pizarro, the Spanish explorer, conqueror. And before they arrived, the Spanish flu, the smallpox, rampaged through the Inca Empire. Right as they arrived here in Peru, they didn't have to do much work because the smallpox took out 90% of the Inca Empire here in Peru. Plus, there was also civil wars here going on, kind of like the Aztecs. I did a video on that, on the Aztec pyramids. They had small fractions break off. They started a civil war, and the Spanish came through and raided and took all their stuff and made easy work. Same thing here in Peru. Smallpox took out 90% of the population. Boom. It came down from Mexico, Central America, and started hitting the northern part of the Inca Empire and spread down, took out 90%, followed by civil wars that they were having. So that took out a bunch of people. And so when the Spanish arrived with 150 people, it made easy work for them to take out the Inca Empire. So they thought. So Mr. Pizarro, Spanish conqueror, he came with 150 people and was making easy work right away. Right away, he's taking out small tribes and small armies. And the new emperor that took control of Cusco during that time, he just won a famous battle of Cusco. And he was going to celebrate his war by meeting with this guy, this so-called Spanish conqueror that he's never heard before. And he went to go meet him in a small town. You can see the amazing design that the Incas had here by the buildings. They fit like jigsaw pieces. They would carve the stone so it fits like a jigsaw, and you can't even fit a pin through the pieces of stonework that they have that would be to design the buildings or maybe the outside. My gosh, look at that. That's beautiful. There's one in Cusco that's 12 points. That's so cool. Looks like all ruins that blew up. Well, you know, this place was found in 1911 and it was explored in 1922 by a bunch of people. And this place was never found by the Spanish. 1911, he didn't even think anything of it because it was just completely run down. He didn't think anything impressive about it. There was a lot of overbrush here. So they spent a lot of time in 1922 clearing the whole site with a couple expeditionaries. So when the emperor went to go meet Pizarro, they wanted to be, like I said, a ceremonial greeting. He just won a war. The Spanish set a wonderful trap for the emperor. He sent 6,000 of his troops, the Inca emperor. They went into a square to meet and greet this guy. And what the Spanish did is they hid their guys around the buildings with cannons and horses and weapons that the Incas have never seen before. And after some time, he's like, okay, where is this Mr. Pizarro guy? He never showed. Two guys come out of the building and he goes up to the emperor and says, join the Catholic Church and you will be free. He went on to say a couple things and the emperor told him to screw off. At that moment, wow, it's so beautiful. At that moment, the Spanish Mr. Pizarro with his 150 troops yelled out, engage. The priest ran to the side and all of a sudden cannons came out from the sides of the building. Boom, 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 boom. Horses came in and trampled all over the 6,000 troops. 150 to 6,000. And they absolutely obliterated them. What a welcoming, eh? That was the first major win for Mr. Pizarro. Oh, wow. Hello there. Wow, so cool. I'm looking for the sundial here. I can explain to you a little bit about that. But my gosh, this is so cool. But that is the war that really kicked off. Guy with 150 soldiers and horses and weapons and cannons and swords, guns, took out 6,000 of them. And the people that managed to escape spread the word of what happened and they fled to the mountainside. One person that got out alive that they didn't end up killing was the emperor. Instead, what they did, the Spanish, is they held him hostage. And they explained to him saying, and the emperor said, listen, you let me go, I will give you gold and silver and let me be free. The Spanish agreed. And equivalent to the amount of gold that the emperor gave to the guy. So they spent months trying to accumulate the gold because, like we said, Peru and the Inca Empire had a lot of gold and silver. Today's equivalent in gold, it's equivalent to $700 million in gold is what they gave to the guy. Quite impressive. After the Incas gave him the $700 million in gold, they thought they would let him go. Turns out they lied. They tied him to a stick and ended up killing the guy. They gave him a choice of being baptized or by being burned alive. He took being baptized and, well, the emperor ended up dying. Spanish trolling. Hola. Hola. My site is so cool just to walk around. You can see a little hideout. Hello. Wow, so cool. Now, after Mr. Pizarro's big victory, taking out the emperor, he continued his move to Cusco and put in a puppet president, a puppet emperor that would do what he's told, and they welcomed the Spanish so they wouldn't kill him and the other Incas out there. So he was a puppet emperor, kind of like Joe Biden, you know, kind of do what he's told, welcome everybody, welcome the Spanish. Well, I must say, doing that, the new emperor, who was a puppet, started the rebellion against the Spanish. Why? Well, because the Spanish were going around raping all the Inca women and their wives, the emperor's wife and all the higher up Incas. They were raping their women. So that pissed off a lot of the Incas, which started the rebellion, and they slowly started executing smaller groups of the Spanish, one by one. During this time, this is when Pizarro's 3 other brothers came to Peru in this Inca Empire and started to conquer different areas, and they were starting to slaughter parts of the Spanish. One by one, the army grew to over, I think, 100,000 people. So-called the history books. Once again, this is history. It's his story. Who writes the history? The winners. The people that come out on top. They can always change what happened in the past, delete the books, burn the libraries. So just like anything, always do your own research on this. But this started the rebellion of the Incas and taking out the Spanish here. My gosh, so many little cubbies. This is so fascinating. At one point, they held Cusco under siege. A couple of the highest members of the Spanish that invaded the Incas, they held them under siege in a place that I toured that I'll show you guys a video called Sexy Woman. And that was the last holdout of the Incas versus the Spanish. The Spanish had control, and the Incas surrounded them with, remember, these guys only had 150 people, and the Incas ended up surrounding them and came very close. They had them down into 2 buildings, so say the history books. Had them down into 2 buildings, and they just couldn't put them out because their weapons couldn't end up killing them, because, you know, they had armor and and the Incas' weapons couldn't really do any damage. So that was like a 6-day holdout that they were trying to beat a small group of 150 Spanish. They couldn't end up actually doing it. So the Incas continued their rampage, and actually Pizarro was in Lima, Peru, which is known today. And that was a very important battle because that was the backup that was coming to help the people in Cusco get out of the jam that they were in. It was a long 6-day battle in Lima, taking out Pizarro, but they ended up failing the Incas, and that was a very important war to be lost. Well, won for the Spanish. The Incas ended up losing that war, 6-day war, and the troops were they're being surrounded now, coming from all angles, as the Spanish asked for support in Cusco, as this is the last rebellion. The Spanish came up and surrounded the people. They came up from the south, the north, the west, and they ended up being taken out, the Incas, and the ones that survived ended up running into the Andes, of which they're known, into the jungle, where they would do small guerrilla warfares against the Spanish and take out small tribes of the Spanish people. But altogether, that was really what took the end of the Inca Empire, and the last that survived. Like I said, the last ones ran off into the hills, into the jungle, where they would do guerrilla warfare. So that is the rise and fall of the Inca Empire. Over 100 years, just 100 years, big, massive gains that the empire had, and end up collapsing within 100 years. Rise just as fast, fall just as fast. What is the saying again? Rise fast, die fast? I don't know. So that is the history of the Incas. Quickly, 100 years, built a massive empire, ended up collapsing within 100 years as well. Smallpox, civil war, and the Spanish with only a couple hundred people. Now, what happened to the other brothers, you might be asking? The other Pizarro brothers? Well, they got executed. One was executed, one I think died of diseases. One was sentenced to death or something like that by the king of Spain. And I think one died in war. I should have mentioned, before the Incas ran off, they ran off once they saw their leader, the new emperor, with a spear through his chest, and he was dead. And that's when they ran off, and they admitted the war was over, they lost, and they scurried off into the mountains. So fascinating, the rise and fall of a wonderful empire of the Incas. Wow, let's continue this great journey. Those Spanish, though, always gets me thinking about the Spanish. They were savages. Absolutely ran through Mexico, Europe, South America, Central America, killed hundreds and hundreds of millions of people. And what was their religion? Catholic. Church. It's just funny you think about that stuff. That was the religion that they preached, and if you didn't follow it, they executed you. So fascinating. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I really appreciate it. If you guys like this video, subscribe. And if you guys have any questions, you guys can always reach out to me on social media at MoneyballAustin. If you guys would like my exact trading strategy and what you've seen in this video so far, then head over to moneyballtrading.com, where you will get your free ebook on the trading strategy, as well as many videos so you can start making money consistently. That will be in the description below at moneyballtrading.com. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.